Next one, we're going to look at the buttons. Very important and basic. You need to have a lot of buttons in almost every app because button is the easy way for you to interact with the app. All right. So in Flutter, there's so many different kind of buttons. So if you go to Flutter button, okay, so there are so many different ways to do that. But then the right way of learning all the buttons is go here to the catalog, and we should have a way. I think that's something called input. Not input, maybe I think that's called basics. And yeah, there's something called alleviated button. Okay, so looks like this is the kind of button they recommend you to do. And yeah, all the different ways. And then if you see, let's actually find out some kind of code. It's called alleviated button. Yeah, here is the code. Okay, so alleviated button, there's a style, there's an unpressed, and then there's a child. Okay, so this one I'm gonna write it first. Okay, so go back to the code. So let's say I want to add some button at the bottom. So I do elevate the button. All right. So the most important thing you need to put is something called child. Because the child you can do a text which will allows you to do a like a what do you want to show on top of the button. For example, you could do a login. All right. And there is something wrong because I think you also need to specify what happened if you press the button. So for now, I'm going to ignore it. I'll put an empty function. So just do nothing. I'll show you what this does. Okay, I will save it. All right, now you see the first button here. You can click on that and it doesn't do anything. Okay, so that's how you do a elevated button. Okay, by having an action and also a child. All right, so you can do another button in the same way. I'll do a sign up. All right, so that's the second button in the same way. And if you want to configure buttons, there are so many things you can do. For example, how do I make the button more professional, right? So let me just copy this one here. Okay, show me some basic configurations for the Flutter button to make it more professional. Okay, I'm going to copy this code here. All right, so obviously they're adding a big like a style. Okay, let's try this. I'm gonna put a style in the middle. Okay, so they have one style. Okay, and this style looks like there's some padding, there's some shape, they have some kind of round shape, and then alleviation. So let's actually save and see that's the button. Yeah, they just reduced a little round corner here. I think they also did some kind of text style. Okay, so this one I'm just gonna copy that. Yeah, I'll just use the same on the whole thing. All right, to replace here and save that. And yeah, so we put the text a little bit more, much bigger. All right, so that's how you can do the configuration for the button. Okay, so the style is still all the little UI element, the visual element you can configure. Okay, and then the text is the basic what you put on top of the button. So unpressed, that's a function. Okay, you do this kind of a function without a function name, just means that you can put all the code directly inline uh, under this unpressed. So if I do something very simple called a print, okay, the button is clicked. All right. So now if I save the code, each time I click on this button, you can see there is a message being showed up. If I click on this again, and another message. Click on this again, another message. So that proves that anytime you click on a button, this line of code under the onPress will be executed. Okay, so that's how you configure the events for the button. What happens when you click on a button? All right, so that's how you configure a button. All right, obviously you can also make the button wider. So let's see how to turn the button wider and fit the screen. Let's see if there is a simple way of doing that. All right, so they changed something called a minimum size. I think that one does the job. Let's try this. If we do a minimum size. All right, so you see this button actually fit the whole screen. Okay, so we could pretty much copy this whole thing, and we're gonna replace the other button, and now we'll change that into a sign up. All right, now we got two buttons and it looks a lot better than before. Okay, so that is called a button.